tell me after watching that, man? Seeing that intro there, I'm getting amped myself. This right here, guys, is a truly spectacular lure. I present to you the Mattlures STRONG Shad. This lure is actually pretty privileged, guys. This lure is not yet released. Going to be coming out very soon from Mattlures. What I'd like to do here is give you an early first look. As you can see there from the intro, you got some swimming action, and we're going to see more of that in a little while. I have extensive underwater footage as well as above water footage. You're going to be able to see all this does. Fast retrieve, slow retrieve, erratic retrieve, underwater from the fish's point of view. In addition to that, guys, we're going to dissect the lure. You can see how long this video is. As is the case with many of my videos, we go in detail. We talk about it, or at least I talk about it to you. We're going to go over the nuances of the lure. We're going to talk about all this detail, the features that this particular model brings to the table, what's going to be released, the sizes, the sink rates, the colors, all that stuff. We're going to go into a little bit of philosophy of how this lure is meant to be used, etc., etc. So, guys, thanks for joining me, and stick around. I present to you the Mattlures STRONG Shad. So, who is Mattlures? Well, guys, for those of you who are uninitiated to the brand, let me just give you a quick background. Mattlures is a swim bait manufacturer. He makes both hard lures as well as soft swim baits, and his niche in the market is what you see right here. It is highly detailed, anatomically correct, just ultra realistic baits that approach almost taxidermy quality. Really awesome stuff, having a bait that looks this fantastic, and these things also swim great as well. He's known for dialing in the swimming action. You get the whole package with anything that he offers. I'll just throw in a couple lures here just to give you a little background, guys. One of the things that I love, and we're going to talk about in just a second, is kind of the breadth of what he offers. You see right here we have two different sizes, right? We have the larger size ultimate gill and the small size. Different hook configurations these come in. Of course, different colors. He offers different species. There's a perch. He offers a whole lot of other soft swim baits. In the hard bait line, again, just crazy detail. Here's a bass that I have, and probably his most popular, probably most sought after, is these little guys, the Hardgills. Same deal, small size, large size, different joint configurations, different sink rates, and different colors. And all the while, look at all these baits, guys. They are, I mean, without question, his stuff is without peer, I should say. Nobody makes lures like this, you know, and there's some manufacturers here and there that make like one or two like really great looking lures, but nobody's got a catalog like this. Matt just, I don't know how he does it. Just everything he has is just so realistic. It's amazing. But that is what Mattlures is all about. Not to say, guys, not to say that you need to have highly realistic lures to catch fish. We all know that lures of all kinds catch fish, but I happen to always like erring on the side of very realistic looking lures. Why? Because before I got to that lake, and after I go, and whenever those bass chow down on a real bluegill, or a real shad, or a real perch, or, I forgot to show you one here, maybe they even chow down on a real rat, this, and all these things actually look like the thing that fish eats. So, there's a lot of speculation here, guys, but, you know, part of me says, like, maybe a fish could get desensitized and kind of get a heightened awareness to something like a spinnerbait or even a Senko, right? But how could a fish ever kind of hesitate on a lure that really, really approaches the actual living forage? So that's just my philosophy, guys. I always feel comfortable throwing things that most closely mimic reality. You know, to me, that's kind of a no-brainer. So anyway, guys, that's Mattlures. That's what he's all about. Super detailed, realistic, and always anatomically correct. So let's roll into some of the features of the bait. We're going to take a close look at it here and talk about it more. Okay, guys, so I was just showing you some different lures, and I was kind of commenting on, we saw those different sizes. The reason I did that is because this also is going to be coming in those various configurations, which is great. So this one here is the middle size. This is a 7-inch bait. I actually have my scale here. We'll just throw it on there real fast. This is the 7-inch size. This is a slow sink model, and that's coming in at 2¼ ounces. And what we're going to have, Matt gave me a heads up. This is the middle size, so we're going to have one smaller and one larger. And I don't know exactly, I'm speculating, but I have to assume that we're going to see a 6-inch and an 8-inch model. There's also various colors. This one here, I believe, is the dark gizzard shad. I think that's what he was telling me. And then in addition to that, we're going to have the various sink rates. Again, I don't know exactly which ones are going to come out, but historically there's usually a floater, a slow sink, and like a medium or a fast sink. And then sometimes there's subdivisions, so there might be a super slow sink, and there's one he offers, it's called actually a heavy float, one that rides just underneath the surface. It's kind of like a wake bait. So not sure which ones we're going to see, but almost certainly I would think the float, the slow sink, and like the medium or the fast sink, just to cover the three parts of the water column. Let's look at the details. That's what this lure is all about, at least from the visual standpoint. And let's get our focus going here. Okay. So, man, I mean, it's amazing. So these are not hand carved. There's an original, right? So I guess there's an original that he carves. But those scales are real. Like, you see where the shadowing is? That's because this is not a sticker. And this is not, like today, nowadays we have like the new age wraps. Like the JACKALL GANTAREL, like this is a good example of that. Which is great stuff. I love where the technology is going, but this is not that kind of shrink-wrapped photorealistic finish. This is meticulously painted, layer by layer, color by color, blended, faded, and everything to give you these amazing, realistic looks. You can still see each individual scale, and well, you guys could see for yourself. I mean, the goal is that the end result just looks real, and it does. Let's take a look at some of the details of it here. One of the things I was really excited to see is, and I believe this is a first for Matt on his swim baits here, fish swim baits, is rotating hook hangers. See that there? So that guy where it connects to the body of the lure, that can spin, which is really a good feature. I think that's a good feature on any treble hook lure, but particularly on larger swim baits. Now, this isn't the largest swim bait in the world. It's coming in at 2¼ ounces, and there's some that are a lot heavier, but still, 2 ounces. If that fish comes to the surface, we want to keep those fish down, those trophy-sized fish, you don't want them to jump, but if they do, man, when they move their head side to side, the acceleration is phenomenal. And this lure going back and then stopping and this way and stopping, that is what throws those hooks sometimes, particularly when the treble is reaching a point. Let's go focus. And if this was a fixed hooked hanger, it reaches a point where it can't spin anymore. And if that correlates to a certain way the fish is shaking its head, sometimes that's what makes that lure go flying out of the mouth. Here, that fish cannot as easily get leverage because no matter how it moves, this hook has freedom of motion. So that is a very, very good thing for you, the angler. Not only on the front one, but also on the back one as well. We have a rotating hook hanger. Whoops. You can see it's actually integrated into that fin there, which is pretty cool. One note here on the fin, guys, just a heads up Matt wanted me to relay to everybody. This fin is kind of just a prototype fin. The final version is going to be color matched more closely to these fins here, so you're going to have darker accents on it. It's going to be a different shape too. This, I believe, was just off of a Hardgill, and it just got kind of cut to fit, but this is not the final tail design. But it still looks good in the water to me, it looks just fine. What else do we got in terms of details? Let's take a look at it from above. You can see just detailed from all angles, no matter where a fish would be viewing it from. This one here is a slow sink, so I think most of my potential attackers will be looking from the side, or probably kind of maybe from the bottom or a 3/4 angle, so they're going to be seeing something like that. Just fine by me, because it looks real from any direction. You can see Matt always does something like this. It makes it look like an exit hole, like where the fish would poop from or whatever. And that's just covering up the rod here, which goes through the pivot point. Same thing on the rear there. Extremely durable. Matt's known for this. Their tie points and everything is very, very heavy gauge. Split rings here are huge split rings. They're almost like saltwater quality stuff. The hardware here, very, very heavy duty stuff. You know, these baits are made for trophy fish. That's what they're designed to do. Not just to catch your average fish, but your huge fish. For my terminal tackle aficionados, these are Owner ST41s, size 1. Okay. What else can I tell you guys? I think that's it in terms of just the details of the lure. The main thing, of course, is just that incredible realism. Next, guys, let's talk a little bit about the joint configuration and what that means in terms of the swimming action and its applications in the types of water that you can effectively use it in. Okay, so 1, 2, 3 segment lure, and you achieve 3 segments by having 2 joints. Now this is going to be an opinion piece, guys. Matt didn't tell me about all this, but this is where I think he's going with this, because the 3 segment lure is his predominant design. He has made glide baits, but in these lures that are meant to kind of swim along, it's usually 3 segment lures. We have seen some that offer 2 segments, like I have a 2 segment bluegill here. But usually we see the 3 segments, and here's why I like that. There's other ways that you could do this, right? We've seen manufacturers and they cut another joint or sometimes even another one after that, and the more joints you have and the more body segments, the more tight the action gets, the more kind of slithering, smooth serpentine it gets. The 3 segment lure is nice because it still swims in that straight line like a traditional swimming bait, but it puts out a lot of thump. I've been testing this now for a few weeks, guys, and no different than like his Hardgills here. When you're reeling this in, particularly when you come up to like a medium fast retrieve, man, you feel this thing pumping through the rod. It's like an exaggerated chatterbait, and you just know that that's being sent through the water. And the bass, right? They got their lateral line. They are going to be aware of that. Lest we not forget that bass eat real shad and real bluegill that put out nearly no thump. I mean, it's those fish's job to be subtle and to blend in and to not call attention to themselves. So this is putting about 100% more commotion in the water than the real living fish is. When you couple that then to the extremely natural look, to me it's kind of that 1-2 punch. Even if the fish isn't looking in this direction, so you cast and the fish is actually facing the opposite way, it's facing towards shore or whatever. You have a couple quick reels, that pump goes out, that fish might spin around, and then see, for all intents and purposes, the real deal. So it's just a nice combination there of things. I was talking about the applications in terms of water. You know, a lot of people think swim baits are really like a clear water technique or like a visual technique. And for the subtle baits, for things like maybe the soft, the Ultimate Gill here, or like the classic, like the Huddleston Deluxes, yeah, they are relatively subtle baits, more geared towards clear water. But not so with this. This is actually the exact opposite. I feel comfortable throwing this in the clear water just because of how damn realistic it looks. Shy of these hooks being on it, when this is going through the water, it's the real deal, right? And there's going to be, I feel, again, this is kind of an opinion piece, but less apprehension on the fish's part because it's not a spinnerbait. It's not something that's meant to mimic something. It really looks like the real thing. So I love it in a clear water situation. But what I really, really love is the duality in that I feel very, very comfortable throwing this in stained water and even muddy water. Remember, it's putting out that thump. These fish are going to be able to find it. It's a 7-inch, 2¼ ounce bait that's putting out a lot of vibration. They're just going to be able to find it. And I've caught a good number of swim bait fish doing just that. You know, I think that's one of the great misconceptions is that you can't use swim baits in murky water. It's something I do all the time, and I've gotten a number of fish in those kind of conditions on lures like this, on the hard jointed lures, particularly these guys, the 3-segment lures, because of their action in the water and the way that they can call fish to them with the thump that they put out. So I just want to mention that to you guys there. Alright guys, there's one of the things I want to talk about. We've seen how detailed this lure is. It's a tremendously realistic lure. We talked about the swimming action a little bit, and of course we're going to take it to the water in just a little bit. You're going to see firsthand from not only above but also below water how it swims. I'd like for you to get your eyes on that. But lastly, I want to talk about maybe the most important thing, and that's the construction of this lure and its value. Very important topic. Let's just talk about that for a minute. Okay guys, so as we were looking at the scales and everything before, you've probably noticed, as I have it under my lights here, how reflective it is. You know, now all lures, swim bait or otherwise, even if you're buying like a little Strike King, you know, square bill or something, all lures have a clear coat on them. But most of our lures, most of our traditional size lures, it's kind of a cursory layer of clear coat. There's your paint, very thin layer of clear. We don't expect that lure to necessarily be that robust or to stand up to a lot of abuse. But this one here, if you see how glossy it is, that level of reflection is because of how thick this is. Now this is nothing new. This is not new just to this bait. My other lures here like this, some that you might say, hey man, do you even fish these things? Look at how new they look. Yeah, I fish this lure a lot. I've caught a lot of fish on this lure. And that's where I'm going with this, guys, is these lures are not inexpensive. A lot goes into them, handcrafted lures, right? But they are made to last. And what I really like about Mattlures and what they do over there is kind of a different philosophy than a lot of what's in the swimming in the fishing industry. These lures are made to last you the long haul. So the upfront price is up there, right? But you're getting this, you know, handcrafted lure. But it's going to last you, man. These things are built to take abuse. And he actually says as much on his site. One of the things I really like is that there's an evolution happening. So it's not just like, okay, I built the lure, now I'm just going to make it. He's always tweaking it. Years past, his first series of bass was called the hard bass. And then that moved to the strong bass. And that just wasn't just, you know, fancy names. That's because literally the lure was totally redone. The resin that was used to construct it was totally reformulated for you, the customer. It was made to be more durable and have some shock absorption put into it so that the lure would not crack or splinter or anything as easy. And that is why this is named the Strong Shad. Interesting point, guys, just mention real fast. It's summertime now that I'm here in New Jersey. I'm reviewing this. I was out in the water the other day, and I saw a particularly thick area of clear, and I don't know, I just kind of stuck my fingernail into it. It was here on the fin, and I was actually bending this entire fin. I had a little bit of deflection. It was like deflecting a millimeter this way and a millimeter this way. Now, I'm not encouraging you to do that, but what I found out is that this resin, well, it's resin, it's hard, has some softness in it, okay? And that's basically what's been built in is a shock absorption system. If you think about hard things, something that's very, very hard, there's a crossover point where it becomes so hard that if it gets hit, it's brittle, right? And it'll shatter. Like glass is a good example. It's very hard, but it could shatter. Versus like a plexiglass, right? It's very soft and it flexes. This resin is the same kind of principle. We need it to be hard. This is a hard lure, but Matt has evolved the design for us, right? Because this isn't necessarily a good thing from a business standpoint. A lot of makers out there, they want that lure almost to, you know, it's kind of like planned obsolescence, you know. Yeah, big deal if it scratches or if it cracks. All right, that person will be back to buy another one. Not Matt. And that's one of the things I really, really love about how he conducts business and how he makes his stuff, is that he's selling these lures to you, but he's making them almost like they were only for him, and that he wanted them to be nearly indestructible. Now, don't take it the wrong way, guys. Anything can happen. I wouldn't aim for rocks on each cast, but just understand that this is going to be one of the most durable baits that you could use. One other quick thing he was telling me is that this actually translates into a quieter bait. And I was messing around with some of my other resin swim baits from other manufacturers, and that same quietness translates into the joint action. When these hit, acoustically, it actually translates to being a little bit quieter. It doesn't have that very intense click-clack. It's a little bit muted. And I guess the idea there is just to make it, even though it's a hard bait, to make it a little bit more natural in the water and not quite as abrasive. And that probably pays dividends a little bit extra in those clear water situations. So that's it, guys. I just wanted to mention all that stuff to you. Just what a great new lure. If you guys are in parts of the country where shad are, and where I am in New Jersey, they're here and there, but a lot of the lakes I've been fishing, We do not have shad, and my firm belief is that if you put something that looks like it's alive in the water, you know, fish are going to go for it, whether the shad are there or not. But anyway, guys, this is the new Strong Shad from Mattlures. Again, it's not released just yet. It's going to be out pretty soon, but that's a first look at it. And let's roll in now to the on the water stuff. I have kind of a synopsis out there as well as that in-water footage. But before I go any further, let me just say thanks for watching, guys. And if you have any questions, leave them below in the comments, and I'll be sure to get back to you. Alright guys, so here on the water with the Mattlures Strong Shad. I've been fishing this now for a while. I've had it out in a few outings, and this lure, it's it, man. It is everything that you expect. I'm going to be rolling in that in-water footage in just a moment, but just want to give you a few thoughts on it, my initial thoughts. It is superb. If you are looking for a hard bait in the shad profile, I mean, this is such a ubiquitous fish, you know, it's either the bluegill or the shad, but if shad is in your area, this needs to go on your short list real fast. Everything about the lure is dialed in. The action is superb. That 3-piece configuration puts on that solid thump, different than the 4 and the 5-piece jointed baits. This one, you can feel it through the rod, and you know those fish are feeling it through their lateral line as well. They're going to come up to inspect it. It's going to call them from a distance. The finish looks true. It looks as close as we can get. Using the materials available today, it looks like the real thing. It has that nice glitter in there. It's going to send off that flash of light, and just everything about it, guys. I mean, this is what Matt does. He makes true to life lures that not only look great but swim great as well. Now, I just started fishing it, but I know that this is going to last a very, very long time. That's the third thing about the lures that we were talking about at the tabletop, is how robust they are and how much goes into the clear coat and just making them stay in great shape for a very long time. So anyway, guys, just a few thoughts on it. It's stunning, it swims great, and I have no doubt that if you have one of these in your tackle box, you're going to kill them on it. So right now, let's get on top of the water. Let's check out what your point of view, bird's eye view, what it's going to look like. Show you some of the standard retrieves, fast retrieves, erratic retrieves, all that stuff. And then let's go below the surface to an underwater camera, and let's see how the fish are viewing this lure from below.
To make sure I look presentable, just in case I make the cut.